Welcome to The Cool Down, a Bailiwick Express podcast where we meet the people making the sports headlines. Hello, I'm Nick Mann, and this is the second part of our rugby special. This week I talked to Guernsey Raiders ladies lead coach Steve Evans about how the side have developed through the first half of the season as they hunt for their first win. And if it leaves you hungry for more, there's a chance coming up on Sunday the 21st of January to give women's rugby a go. More details on that are in the show notes. Okay, Steve, thanks for joining me today for this latest podcast.
No problem.
We're sitting halfway through the season now. What are your first thoughts on how it's gone so far?
I think from a results point of view, the season could have gone better. You know, we drew last weekend, which is the first league game we haven't lost. But I think from a development point of view, the team has come on in leaps and bounds, and we started off the season with a significant number of senior players out from injury. So we had to throw our inexperienced and younger players in, and we're having those older players, more experienced players, come back from injury. The good thing about having to throw our youngsters and inexperienced players in at the beginning of the season is they're still young, but they've got that much more experience, and you can see the difference in the team and the level that we're playing at. Things are starting to click, and I'm really looking forward to the new year. You know, in some ways it was disappointing that we haven't got a game this weekend, because the last three games we've played top of the league, second in the league, and I can't remember if the team we drew with was third or fourth, but our performances have come on in leaps and bounds, and we're actually even though we're at the bottom, we're pushing those teams at the top of the league and making them work hard for their wins, and to get a draw against, you know, a third position team it doesn't sound like much, but when you think about where the teams come from, it was a massive thing for the ladies not to lose. And the performance was, you know, certainly the best performance I've seen in the last 18 months this season or last season. And it's, as a coach, and I know that anybody who knows me knows how insanely competitive I am. I don't like losing tiddlywinks, let alone a game of rugby. But I think I've had to accept that this is a development season, and to see where the team is now compared to where it was, you know, in pre-season is just amazing. And I am so proud of the hard work that the ladies have put in over the course of the season and stuck at it despite some heavy defeats. And it's just really nice to see. I'm really proud of them all. I know that sounds trite and cheesy to say, but they don't believe me when I tell them. So this is an opportunity to say, well done, ladies. I am really proud of you, and I know the rest of the coaching team are too. If
we go back a bit earlier in the season, when you're suffering those heavy defeats, you look at Horsham, that's 94-0 scoreline. What is your message to the players after those games?
I think that the 94, you know, to be fair, that could quite easily be 150. If they'd given up, there is absolutely no doubt. You know, 94 is an awful result. There's no doubt about it. We were well beaten on that day. But I think the fact that we had a team out on that day, I think we had 16 or 17 players unavailable. We travelled with 16 players. We had an injury in the warm-up, so we went on the pitch with 15. But just to get a squad out was an achievement. And then, again, we were beaten by a better team, but I think that the way the ladies stuck at it, they fought, and they made the opposition fight for every try. And it's, again, you know, it's hard to believe with a result in the 90s, but we did. They worked hard throughout the game. No one gave up, and I think that was, you know, it reflects well on the team spirit and the ethos and the team. And you know, we haven't had a win this season, but they've stuck at it, and every performance has been better than the last. So I think that's, you know, it'll stand them in good stead for the second half of the season.
And are there any particular areas of the game where you're seeing the development?
Oh, absolutely. I think, you know, our defence has come on leaps and bounds. Our tackling, sort of, you know, basics tackling has got significantly better. The way we handle a breakdown has got significantly better. And I think a lot of that is just developing that trust in the people around you, so you know that the person to your left and the person to your right are going to make that tackle, that if you're tackled, you know that your teammates are going to be there in the breakdown, and that gives you the confidence to play. and not be hesitant. And I think that's what we've seen over the course of the season, is that is developing. And the units, we're our front row. So, integral part of the team. We've chopped and changed. I don't think we've had the same 15 players starting. And that makes it really difficult. But we're starting to build those combinations, 9 and 10, 12 and 13 in the centres, the back three, all developing an understanding of what their teammates are capable of. And you develop that trust, and that takes a long time to develop. And where we are now, compared to where we were in September, is, it's really nice to see as a coach that the team has developed. And okay, like I said, insanely competitive, would like to be winning every game. But I think as a coach, what you want to see is your team develop. And I've been really, really pleased with the way the team has developed over the course of this season. And I'll be really, really disappointed. And the ladies know that if they don't continue to develop over the rest of the course of the season, then, we'll have done something wrong.
Do you have targets in mind for what you want to see?
Yeah, I think the target has to be the obvious target is a win. And then get a win, build on that. And I think that was part of the problem last week, where we're not used to winning. And towards the end of the game, I think, not panic, sort of just, there was a lot of pressure then to get the win. And I think once we've got the one win and that's done and dusted, then we can build from there. And I think the obvious target has to be to stay in this league. We've recognised that's going to be a big target. I think we're too good for the league below, and I think I don't think that would do the long-term development of the team any good at all, really, because I think we'd be consistently winning. We are in it. There is no doubt the league this season, the standard is climbing every year. So we're at the same level from a league point of view as we were last season and the season before, but the standard has gone up, and we've moved geographically. So we've got new teams in the league. So I think what they decide is, Guernsey are going to be flying into Gatwick anyway. It doesn't matter whether they go east or west out of Gatwick. So we tend to move geographical leagues, even though we stay at the same standard. So we've got 2 or 3 teams, I think, that we've played before, but newer teams, and we've the team that came down from the Championship, the league above. We played them 2-3 weeks ago, and they were challenging there, obviously, at a higher level than we were, but we pushed them for 30 minutes of the game. And I think that's what we need to build on, is to be able to push these teams for the whole 80 minutes. And our performance at the weekend, we put an 80-minute performance in. Coach's cliche, isn't it? We were unlucky. There were a couple of opportunities that we could have taken that we didn't, both early on in the game and later on. We defended well, and I think it's just a matter of time before we get a win, really.
And how difficult is it to prepare for these games against opposition that you might not be familiar with? And added to that, given that we've had the first sort of half of the season, does that help?
I think it does. We're lucky enough to have something called a VO cam, which it automatically tracks the ball. So we're building up a video library, if you like, of teams that we played against before. We're lucky in that Steve Melbourne, who our rugby development officer, who is part of the coaching team, knows a lot of, has a massive rugby history and knows a lot of these teams and keeps abreast of the way that they play. And we are getting to know the teams, and Heathfield and Waldron, we've actually been in the same division as them, I think, for 3 out of the last 4 seasons, and we've had some really close games, and I think it's about a 50-50 split of wins and losses. So to get a draw, to be fair, I think they came expecting to beat us, and to beat us well. You could see their frustration building on the pitch, and certainly after the game their coaches were immensely frustrated. So I think we are getting to know the league, and I think, is it nice to know whether a team is going to play a wide, expansive game, or they're going to play a forwards dominated game? Yeah, it is, but we need to concentrate on our own game, and we've got a game plan. We know the type of rugby that we want to play, and we're getting there. So I think, you can spend too much time focusing on the opposition, and I think if you've got a decent defensive system, and we're building on that, and then we can go out and concentrate on our own game, and if the wins will come. Sometimes no matter how good you are, there's going to be a better team out there and you're going to lose. But if we focus on our own game, defend well, and then take our opportunities, then I think at this level, that's the best you can expect, really. We don't have a bank of analysts, and we don't have all week to prep. We have two training sessions a week, and the coaching team do it for love rather than anything else, and have proper jobs, although it does seem like coaching is another full-time job at times. So we just have to focus on our own team and go from there and come up with a plan and try and execute it, and then deal with stuff on the day.
You touched on it a bit earlier in terms of the strength and depth of the side and the number of players that you have available to you. How does this compare to say, where the game was a few years ago to where we are now, and where would you like that to go?
The ladies' game internationally is growing massively, and I think the ladies' game in Guernsey has developed enormously, certainly over the 4 or 5 years that I've been involved, and you can see that at academy level with the number of girls playing playing mixed rugby with the boys at primary school level, and then once they separate out at under 12s, under 14s and under 16s, and then the under 18s that train with the senior ladies, the numbers coming through, and we're constantly having new players come. So I think if everybody turned up training, we'd probably have 35. We're consistently getting numbers in the low 20s, and that allows for family, work, injury commitments. And like I said, we had 11 players unavailable at the weekend. We still got a 22-player squad, and that is really good. And where would I like ladies rugby to be? A second team would be amazing. You'd probably need a squad of in the low 40s to run consistently 2 teams when you're talking about injuries. That would be absolutely amazing. Would I like to see more rugby played in schools so that my successors in 5 or 10 years' time? Absolutely. And I think we need to push our players to challenge them. So I think if you're looking at goals for ladies rugby, are we going to get individuals playing for county, or moving on to centres of excellence in the mainland? We've got one player playing for county this year, Evie Coyd, who's had a couple of run-outs for Hampshire. We've had players go and play at Union. They've come back to the island. So there's the individuals, then there's team development. Are we in the right league? Would I like to be playing at a higher league? If we've got, if we can raise our standards, then yes, I'd like to see us challenging for playing in the championship, and developing the sport on the island. Schools, people turning up for a social team, and then being, part of professional with a small P setup. And I think it's really important that I think the ethos within the ladies team on the island is there's a real community, and sort of there's a lot of support, and it's not just about playing rugby on a Saturday. There's a social element to it too, and we were talking before the podcast started about the Inner Warrior Camp to try and encourage people to come and try it on the 21st of January, and I take every opportunity I can to say to players, to say to people, look, if you've never tried rugby before and you think it's not for you, the number of players we've got who've said, oh God, I thought it was way too rough, and they come, they give it a go, they have their first attempt at contact, and they look and say, wow, why haven't I been playing this? I think anybody that knows me knows how much I love rugby, and I think if you haven't given it a try, then I think you need to come, because it is an amazing sport, and it's an amazing team ethos, and it builds it just builds people rather than players. And I think if you've got a daughter, I make a pitch for the ladies' game here. If you've got a daughter and you don't know what to do with them and you want them to be involved in sport, then I can't recommend rugby enough. And I'd say exactly the same if you have sons. You know, the rugby on the island is an amazing setup. Get them down to the academy on a Sunday, or if they're over 18, get them involved in rugby on the island. It is an amazing sport, and you make friends for life. And no matter where you go in the world, you will find a rugby club, and it is a ready-made social circle. And it's not like football. I think football is very tribal about which team do you support. Whereas in rugby, I think it's more about, if you walk into a bar and you get talking about rugby, it's not which rugby team do you support, it's what position do you play. And you're accepted. And, you know, I'm an absolutely fanatic about the Ospreys, one of the Welsh regional teams, and you are way deep into the conversation. You've got to come up against another proper rugby nerd before you start talking about the teams or the league that you support, and it's always positional and what clubs have you played for yourself, and you will always find someone in common. And it's not that tribal, and it's a ready-made social circle. So I think it's really good for personal development as well as fitness and that camaraderie and the team ethos.
I think on that, I think we've covered a lot of ground. That's a great pitch for the game.
Oh, absolutely. Look, I love this game, and I could talk forever about sort of the wider aspects of rugby, the team, coaching. You know, my wife says when my son's home from university, and she knows now that for the next 3 or 4 weeks, it's going to be rugby. Any opportunity we get to watch it, any opportunity we get to chat about it. And she jokingly says, you know, there's a little plaque hanging on our back door. This marriage is suspended for the rugby season. Well, yeah. She knew what she was getting into when she married me 30 years ago.
It's brilliant. Thanks a lot for your time.
No problem. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
That was the cool down. Thanks again for listening. Please like and subscribe for more. You can find all our sports news on gsy.bailiwickexpress.com and on all our social channels. Sign up to our daily email to keep up to date on all the work the Express team does.